Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
This is fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans.
They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
Get everything you need for your holiday meal at Whole Foods Market. Right now, you'll find Animal Welfare Certified Rib Roast on sale. It's a deliciously crowd-pleasing centerpiece. Plus, save on Spiral Sliced Ham, bone-in lamb, and seasonal produce like sweet potatoes and Honeycrisp apples. For ready-to-eat sides, head to the prepared food section. Done. And remember that Whole Foods Market caters. Order gourmet catering at shop.wfm.com. Bring the holiday magic with Whole Foods Market.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion with Stephen Wallace. In each show, Stephen will interview someone connected to the world of horse racing or cricket.
Hello everyone. On today's podcast, I'm joined by Mick Newell, the Trent Rockets Operations Manager, to review this year's 100. Welcome back to the Paddock and the Pavilion, Mick.
Steve, good to speak to you again. All good.
We're going to talk about the final, a Rockets win, talk about the second season, or second album as some people keep calling it, what makes a winning team and the effect on county cricket and the future of the 100. But I want to start with the final. When Richard Gleeson stood at his mark at the beginning of the last set, I must get that right, in the 100, how confident were you that Lewis Gregory could score the 11 runs?
Well, I wasn't confident at all, if I'm honest. I'd been watching or not watching the game from the back of the pavilion. I didn't enjoy the final at all because having got there, you really want to win it. So there was a pressure that hadn't been there before. And I actually came to the back of the dugouts just to shake hands, really, and say congratulations to them. But once he got that first ball away for 6, I think that it swung massively our way. So fair play to Lewis, and obviously commiserations to Richard Gleeson, who suffered in that last 5 deliveries.
When bowling that last over, everyone said, oh, poor deliveries, blah, 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 and everything. But it must be difficult when you're in those sort of pressure situations to get it right.
Yeah, look, it is difficult. I think he set a field that looked as though it was designed for him to bowl wide Yorkers. And, of course, he bowled far too straight the first ball. And Lewis hit that unbelievably well to hit a 6 that flat over square leg, where there wasn't a deep square leg because that wasn't where the ball was meant to be delivered. So I think Richard would say, look, I had a plan. I just didn't deliver the plan. The next ball was a shin high full toss, which was probably the only bad ball he really bowled. And Lewis got that one away. So that was game over at that point. But yeah, I think at that stage of the game, you set a plan and you hope that you can deliver to it. That's what you practice for. And that's what you're preparing for.
But you say game over, but even watching, if he'd have clean bowled Lewis in the third ball, then Sam Cook coming in, what would that have meant?
I've never seen Sam Cook bat, so I've got no idea what that would have meant. I think it was a tie at that point, wasn't it? So I think they have a super 5 or something they call it, like a super over. So we would have been all out there again and still playing till about 11 o'clock at night. Is
Lewis a really calm person in that sort of situation?
Yeah, he's been a very calming influence throughout the whole competition. I think he's a very skillful cricketer, both with bat and ball. He's a good leader because he is calm. He works well with the coach and the senior players. And, we have a lot of depth in that Rockets team in terms of batting of his quality coming in at number 8, whereas at Somerset or whoever else he plays for, you could quite easily see him walking in at 6. So I think that was one of the main factors in our team, was that we still had batters coming in at 8, 9, 10 who we were pretty confident could still help us win.
Yeah, we forget he played for England, didn't he, against Pakistan? I think he was batting 6 in those internationals.
Yeah, and if you look at the Somerset card, often he's at 6 or 7, probably higher in white ball cricket than red ball cricket. So he's got that ability to hit 6s. He didn't face many balls in the competition this year, but I can think of at least 3 6s that either finish games or help set up wins. So he's got that ability, as many modern players have, that they can walk to the crease and clear the ropes straight away. They don't have to take time to have a look at things, and often they don't have time.
And at 45 for 1 off 40 balls, were you thinking of a comfortable victory?
Yeah, I think so, although we knew it wasn't a fantastically good batting pitch. It was fairly clear from the the way that originals struggled to clear the ropes and hit boundaries, that it was a tough pitch to play. As a coach or as a director, whatever, or manager, you want to chase a score like that for 2 wickets down with 10, 15 balls to spare, and everyone says, what a boring game. But, that wasn't to be, and the challenging pitch and the way we struggled made for a more exciting match.
Any reason for that? You'd hope that a Lord's final, you're going to get a good pitch.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to blame anybody. It's September, early September, a lot of cricket on that square. He's probably prepared that pitch with a few days' work rather than a bit longer, because he's had cricket right up until about 4 days earlier. So I don't blame anybody. I think it's a challenge for ground staff across the whole county game at the moment to prepare the best possible pitches. So although it was a disappointing pitch to play on, as I say, it made for an exciting finish to the game, to the tournament.
Well, let's just talk about the actual tournament and the second season. What do you think to some people who say that the final put a gloss on some poor matches before the final?
Yeah, I think there was a shortage of close matches in the men's tournament. Definitely, there was. We didn't have too many close matches. Although we chased 180 and we chased 160, I think, and things like that. Which, you get into the last 10 balls, that's still a pretty good effort. So I think there was some difficult matches in terms of excitement for the crowd. I wouldn't say the standard was poor. I think the standard is very high. You've got top quality players playing in this tournament and enjoying it. But yeah, there was definitely a dearth of close finishes, which is something that other tournaments seem to be able to create more easily than we are at the moment.
And we did see the first score of over 200. We scored 2 scores, individual scores of 100. David Malan got a 98.
Yeah, look, I think the standard of batting in white ball cricket is unbelievable in this country at the moment. Young English players like Smead making 100, Jacks making 100, I think it was, and then other people like Hales and Malan. Laurie Evans had a pretty good tournament. Phil Salt had a good tournament. Josh Butler while he was playing. So I think the standard of batting is high, and the challenge is there for bowlers and for bowling coaches around the world to how can we prevent these runs flowing away and 180, 190, 200 scores. But at the same time, I think people come to the 100. They want to see boundaries. They want to see sixes, and they want to see people throwing themselves around in the field to try and stop that happening.
I think we saw that, and you can see with the actual crowds were about the same as last year, weren't they? Women's crowds were up substantially.
Yeah, we saw that, people getting to the ground earlier than previously. So people who might have wandered in after the women's game or right at the back end, people were definitely getting to the ground earlier and enjoying the skill set of the women's game. That's a great thing for the tournament. And I know, our girls really enjoyed playing at Trent Bridge. They appreciate the crowd getting in early to watch that game. And I think that's a crucial part of this, is that people come for a game and a half or ideally 2 games rather than just turning up for the men's match later on.
Yeah, I was reading 28% of the people there are women, 22% children and 41% families. And all those figures are up from the first year.
Yeah, look, the 100 is doing what it set out to do. It's introducing people to cricket who wouldn't otherwise come, and there's no doubt about that. I noticed at Trent Bridge a lot of people looking at the ground map when they arrive, and I'm thinking, surely you know where you're sitting, but they don't, because it is the first time they've come or they're recent visitors. So it's definitely delivering on a new audience. The challenge will be to keep those people coming back. Do they enjoy what they see? Is the entertainment, is the food, is the drinks, is the view, is everything else right, as well as what they're seeing on the field? And I think certainly in Nottingham, we feel that we've delivered a pretty good tournament. Our men have won all 4 games at home, which I think is good. They want to come and see a winning team and support a winning team as well.
Well, they're certainly getting good value price-wise, aren't they, where the pricing of the tickets?
Yeah, look, it's in everybody's interest to see the grounds full. It's not going to be a spectacle if the grounds aren't full or close to full. And I think the ticket prices are cheaper. And I think going through where we are at the moment as a country in terms of cost of living and things like that, if you want people to come out and spend their money, you've got to hit the price right. And I think the 100 has done that again. And obviously through August, when it's school holiday time, it's a great time to try and put some good entertainment on. What
do you think to the release of TV figures, which apparently are down 12%?
Yeah, look, so anything that goes down is going to be a little bit disappointing. I'm sure that they'll look at that, both Sky and the BBC, as to why those figures might be. But I'd like to think that's not too big a drop. And again, if the people in venue are coming, then that will look good on TV and it will make a spectacle. So I'm sure that people will tweak things a little bit to maybe get the TV numbers up again. But I think as long as this tournament attracts the best players or tries to attract the best players in the world, then hopefully it can still go on the up and up.
Yeah, talking about the best players in the world, are there issues with players coming and going? Because like the London Spirit probably dropped off a lot because they lost Kieran Pollard and Glenn Maxwell and Notts in the final. You know, Shamsi wasn't playing in the final.
Yeah. Rockets, Steve, don't call them Notts. Look, I think the problem is there isn't a window. There's only one tournament in the world that gets complete or pretty much complete exclusivity, and that's the IPL. So I think the challenge is always going to be that there are other tournaments to play, or other international matches to play. With regard to Shamsi, he signed his contract for the CPL before he signed his contract for the 100. So that's where his priority was. Colin Munro, on the other hand, stayed in the 100 and went to the CPL late. So unless, and it's not going to happen, these tournaments get an exclusivity period where nothing else is going on, we are going to get this in and out period. But the fact that Maxwell came or Pollard came and Russell came, it shows that these guys want to be in this tournament.
You caught me out there with the old Notts and the Rockets.
You called it Notts, sir. Be careful.
especially in a podcast about the 100. It was better though with the double headers. I thought single headers don't quite work as well, do they? It was unavoidable.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the double header has become part of this tournament. This wasn't the original intention, as we've spoken about before, maybe pre-COVID. The girls were meant to play their games at Derby and Leicester, and then there would be one double header in our case. But one of the unintended, consequences of the COVID situation was all double headers, all at the main grounds. And once you've started that, you can't go back, I don't believe. The girls have got used to playing at Trent Bridge now, or Lords, or the Oval. Some great experiences. But you're right, a double header makes a longer, better day, and hopefully an enjoyable day.
What are your overall thoughts of the 2022 Women's 100?
There's still a spread of talent across the women's game. I think there were two pretty dominant teams, if I'm honest, which was the Oval and the Southern Brave. So I think there needs to be, if we can, a sort of levelling up in that competition. I think the commitment and the performance determination of the girls is only going one way, which is up. And then their expectations of people who work in the women's game will only get higher as well. So, really pleased with the standard that I saw, particularly from a batting and a bowling perspective. And I think that things will only continue to improve as the women's game becomes more professional and girls get more opportunities to give full-time devotion to the game.
And it certainly should all go well for us challenging the Australians, in a few years' time.
Yeah, I think, what's fascinating for me is the younger group of girls. So we had 4 girls in our squad who were under the age of 19. Now, they didn't play very much this year, but over time, hopefully that experience will build. And we need to develop a pool of girls that are going to come and take over from the Kathryn Brunt and Nat Siver and Heather Knight and all that in the next few years. And the 100, I think, will speed up that development. They're spending 4 weeks with top quality coaches, with hopefully top quality facilities, and playing against some of the best cricketers in the world. And I think that's the challenge for the 100 is going to keep being, can we keep getting back or attracting in the first place the really elite players of the world game?
Which we did this year with the Australian women playing.
Yeah, there was a definite upgrade in overseas players this year. We were disappointed at the Rockets to lose Meg Lanning sort of 72 hours out before the competition, but I'd like to hope that we can get her back in the future. And if she's seen this competition from Australia, which I'm sure she has, hopefully it's a competition that she wants to be involved in and particularly if she comes back to Trent Rockets.
Get everything you need for your holiday meal at Whole Foods Market. Right now, you'll find animal welfare certified rib roast on sale. It's a deliciously crowd-pleasing centerpiece. Plus, save on spiral sliced ham, bone-in lamb, and seasonal produce like sweet potatoes and Honeycrisp apples. For ready-to-eat sides, head to the prepared food section. Done. And remember that Whole Foods Market caters. Order gourmet catering at shop.wfm.com. Bring the holiday magic with Whole Foods Market.
And turning to what makes a winning team, and you should know at the Trent Rockets, is it runs in the power play, death bowling, depth of batting, taking wickets? That's an obvious one, but...
It's all of those. I mean, I think it's all of those, but I think it starts when you pick your squad, you pick your team in the draft process and the retention process. It starts with having a good coaching staff and a really good head coach in Andy Flower. And it starts with going into the competition with a set of beliefs and a real sense that you want to enjoy the month, but you want to pull that team together very quickly. We did a couple of events in the first 3 or 4 days with the men's team in particular, where we got together and did some social things or did some team things that wanted to say, look, we know we're here for a short period of time, but let's make this the best experience it can be. And let's try and win it, because it's always going to be more fun if you win it as well.
Yeah, I heard Andy Flower talk about the atmosphere in the squad. Yeah.
Look, we did we did it. We got together on a Monday. We had a golf day and a quiz night on the Tuesday. On the Thursday, we had a guest speaker come. Well, he did it on Zoom from Australia. Around some experiences in his life that Andy thought would be relevant. And then we started on the Saturday. So we certainly made use of that 4 or 5 day lead in. And as I say, we didn't want it just to feel like another tournament where the players just rock up, take the money and go home. We wanted to make it feel like a real experience. And being at Trent Bridge and all the people who work for Notts also make that experience for the players and make them welcome and make them feel like Nottingham is a city and a ground that they want to come back and play at again.
And when you select players for the draft, are you looking for lots of different left hand, right hand, people who play spin well, people who play fast bowling well, and all that sort of thing?
I think the left-handed batters thing is quite important. It's very important to Andy, the way he likes to structure his team. So, we added Colin Munro to that this year. And then obviously it was very relevant when we played that he tried to keep a left and a right-hander together almost at all stages. Very rarely would you see 2 right-handers together or 2 left. That's a big thing for Andy. So having Milan, Munro, Moores in that top sort of 6 or 7, balanced off with Hales, Kohler, Cadmore, Patel, that sort of thing. There was an opportunity generally to keep the left and the right together pretty much all the time.
So would you change the batting order quite flexible in situations as well?
Yeah, he very much would change that. You could see somebody like Colin Munro probably batted anywhere from 3 to 6, depending on who was getting out, who was in. Kohler Cadmore got shifted around a little bit. Samet came up to number 4 on a couple of occasions, which, because of his right-handed batting. There was a lot of changes. Andy was very flexible there. And as I say, Lewis, anywhere between 5 and 8 from my recollection. So yeah, Andy very keen on his left-right combination. Generally in this country, there's a short side on one side of the field. There's a short boundary. So that's one of the reasons why he likes to do that.
And these days, are you poring over data during the week of other teams and matchups, as they keep calling them? Yeah, so our bowling coach, Azmal Shazad from Derbyshire, and our analyst, Kunal Manik from Notts, they spend a lot of time on that, off the field, away from the game. And they would feed that information in through team meetings and into Andy and Lewis to decide what they wanted to share with the players, because you don't always share every bit of information that you have if you don't think it's relevant. But yes, there are at least 2 people who are working very hard behind the scenes on training days and non-training days to make sure that the players have got as much info as they think is relevant. And who do you think were the key players in the Trent Rockets team?
Oh, well, look, Hales and Milan were outstanding pretty much all the way through. Milan all the way through. He had a brilliant tournament, which was great. I think Sam Cook had a very good tournament for us. Daniel Sams, Samit Patel, probably our leading 3 bowlers. I think the influence of Rashid Khan and Shamsi was terrific. So look, I think there's a whole group of people. Colin Munro, great bloke, contributed, in lots of ways. So I think the whole thing came together really well. But also I would add that the people who didn't play very much, and it's hard when you don't play in a tournament like that because you're used to playing for your county. That's how you've qualified. So people like Luke Fletcher, Stephen Mullaney, Ben Mike, Mashant Delanger didn't play a game, but terrific guys, really wanted to contribute, ran around with the bibs and the drinks and helped out off the field and practiced very hard in between games just in case. So it's difficult to pick out. We had 18 to 19 players at one stage, and they all, I'm sure they all feel they'd like to come back and play for us again, which I think is a great position to be in. That
says a lot for the atmosphere that Andy must have created in the squad.
I think it does. I think Andy didn't disregard the guys who weren't playing. So on a day when the players who were playing had a day off, he would still take a training session for the non-players, if you like, so that just in case they were needed. So they felt like they were still getting practice and preparation and being treated like they were important members of the squad. And that's one of Andy's big methods as well. And that's supported by his coaching staff, again, who over the course of 34 days, whatever it was, never really took a day off.
And is Andy likely to come back again in 2023?
Yeah, I hope so. We do it sort of a year at a time. We've obviously had Stephen Fleming was our original choice as coach, and then through COVID, he's never been able to come. But it's difficult to look past Andy when you've come 3rd and 1st in the 2 years that you've run the tournament.
Yeah, he's becoming a sort of franchise king after leading England to number one in the Test arena.
Yeah, he's having a very different lifestyle now. It's an interesting lifestyle that he's going around the world, picking up teams in various competitions. He's got to remember, I think, which competition he's in a lot of the time, because there's different methods of picking players and drafts and auctions and player selections and lots of different kit. But look, he's had a very successful coaching career, international level, and I think he's taken to this world really, really well. And I think he enjoys it, and enjoys the travel and the challenge of working with different players and different people.
Yeah, he'll be getting like me and getting the teams mixed up, won't he? So all these different teams.
Even during the 100, he's still doing promotional videos and selection meetings for other tournaments. So yes, you're right. He's got to keep his head switched on as to who he's working for. But he's working 5-6 tournaments around the world and being very successful.
Well, let's just talk briefly about the effect on the county game. How do you react to some of the vitriol you get about the effect that the 100 has on the county game in the UK?
How do I react to it? I understand people on the outside of the 100 not liking it, not enjoying it, not wanting to denigrate it. But what I think that should be understood is that, a new form of tournament was needed. Without the deal for the TV companies that came in on the back of the 100 plus international cricket, it's keeping the county game alive. And it's not instead of 4-day cricket, it's allowing 4-day cricket to still survive and be played. So I understand the debate to be had, and I'll stand on the side of the importance of the 100, as a cricketing tool and as a marketing tool to keep county cricket relevant in this country.
So you don't feel it's having an adverse effect on the county game?
Well, financially, it's saving the county game. So,
and the effect on competitions like the Royal London Club, is it giving more opportunities to younger players? Is that your sort of view of that particular club?
Yeah, look, we as a county cricket club, like the Royal London Cup behind the 100, it's given us opportunities to play players in first team cricket that wouldn't have happened. So the fact that we qualified for the quarter final this year, lost to Lancashire, I'm really proud of those young lads, what they did, and the coaching staff, how well they've done. There's no doubt that young players now, they want to play white ball cricket. And if we don't expose them to some white ball cricket, if they can't get in the T20 team at their county, they're really going to want to play in the 50 over comp as a step through to get into T20 cricket, because they see the 100, they see the IPL, they see lots of tournaments around the world. And if we don't start giving them white ball cricket to play, I think they're going to really struggle to maintain their interest in the game. They still want to play red ball cricket, but they want the exposure, the financial benefits, and the big crowds and high profile that white ball cricket's going to bring.
And as a stalwart of the county championship, you still think that, has got a strong future?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think when people say that we're trying to diminish or potentially diminish the county championship by playing a bit less cricket, that's not diminishing it. It's still the number one tournament for me. It's still brought the biggest highs and the lowest lows of my coaching career. So we still, as a county cricket club, see being in Division 1 and winning the county championship as the way we are judged. So if we feel that we should play a little bit less cricket, that's not to say that we're saying the county championship's not important. We're saying it's important. Let's make the pitches the best they can be. Let's have the players in the best physical state they can be. And let's keep that game, that tournament, at the pinnacle of the game. But for every day of county championship cricket, we still need other ways of generating money and keeping interest in the game, because this is the way, I believe, short form cricket, blast or 100, to get new people into cricket.
Well, that's seen by the development of more families going to the 100, and the players. Do the players really like playing in the 100?
I think you'd struggle to find anybody that's in the 100, whether that's a player or a coach, who didn't enjoy the past 4.5 weeks. Maybe if your team didn't do very well, maybe different. But I think it's great fun. It's great experience. The men and women thing, getting together, playing as a club, if you like, as two teams, I think is fantastic. A lot of players, they get, it's close to international cricket in the way they get treated, the way they get looked after, the hotels they're staying in, the big bus things that are going around the country, the money they're getting paid, the way they're getting treated is close to international cricket. So I'd be surprised if you found many people from within the 100 that didn't enjoy that past 4 weeks, both men's and women's game.
And overall, you think 2022 for the 100's been a positive season?
It's been a very positive season in Nottingham. I looked at the way we've done it as a club and as a ground. We've really enjoyed it. I think the fact that somebody like London Spirit, who struggled last year, have come good, is probably likely to be that sort of up and down for a lot of teams. So that's the challenge for us: is can we stay in the top 3 again next year? But yeah, I don't see how filling cricket grounds with people can be a bad thing.
And are you hoping to be involved again in 2023?
Oh, well, I hope so. As long as there is a direct link to Notts, and you mentioned it earlier about Notts, and there is a direct link that the director of cricket at Notts is kind of seen at the moment as the general manager or the operations manager. So, as long as I've got one job, I should keep the other one. But I'd like to do it again. I think it's brilliant fun, and as I say, it's taught me new skills and given me a new awareness, particularly of the women's game of cricket as well.
Well, thank you very much, Mick, for joining me again on the Paddock and Pavilion, talking about the 100 for 2022.
Always a pleasure, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Paddock and the Pavilion. You can download the show on Apple Podcasts,
Amazon Music,
SoundCloud, Stitcher and Spotify.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at The Pad and Pav. Don't forget, if you like the show, please do leave us a rating and review.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Looking for a fun way to win 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/play100 and use code PLAY100. That's code PLAY100 at prizepicks.com/play100 for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.